Imagine you're at home, safe and relaxed. When you start hearing noises inside the walls, knocks, footsteps, objects shifting places, you think it's a ghost? But the truth is far worse. What this predator did to his victims shocked the entire world. But before anything else, this is Nightmare Hour. I'm very happy to welcome you to the first video of the channel. I hope you'll join me on this project. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe. The plan is to upload 2 or 3 videos a week, so get ready for plenty of terrifying stories. The Bowen family seemed to live a quiet life, a cozy home, a normal daily routine, and the typical dreams of any household. But beneath that facade of normality, something dark was about to surface. Something that would change their lives forever. Brian Bowen, the father, was a hardworking and responsible man. Annie, the eldest daughter, was curious and cheerful, full of life, like any teenager just beginning to discover the world. Jessica, her younger sister, shared Annie's innocence, never imagining that something terrifying was about to crash into their lives. At first, it was the noises. Soft knocks on the walls at night, footsteps moving down the hallway when everyone was asleep. Then, objects out of place, a door left open when they had closed it, a glass disappearing from the table, furniture shifting on its own. For weeks, the Bowen family lived through a nightmare that seemed to have no end. Soon, fear turned into paranoia. The girls felt someone was constantly watching them. Annie swore she had seen shadows moving in the hallways. Jessica heard whispers no one else could hear. Every night followed the same pattern. Pounding on the walls, footsteps upstairs, objects vanishing from their spots. The family searched for every possible explanation. Intruders, maybe a malicious neighbor. They even considered that the house might be haunted. They tried to protect themselves, changing the locks, installing extra lights, checking every corner of the house. But nothing stopped the noises or explained the strange movements. The feeling of being watched never went away. Fear became part of their daily routine. Every sound made them jump. Every shadow put them on edge. And while the family struggled to find a rational explanation, the truth was far more terrifying than they could ever imagine. It wasn't ghosts or coincidences. Someone was there stalking them, living inside the walls of their own home. Week after week, the torment grew. The tension reached such a level that any ordinary moment could turn into instant terror. No one was safe, not even in broad daylight. And every step inside the house was a test of courage. At first, the family tried to rationalize it. They thought of mice, drafts, even the idea of a trespasser hiding inside the house for a while. But the incidents became stranger, more frequent, and with one chilling detail. They always happened at night, when the house was completely silent and the family thought they were safe. Fear started to creep into every corner of the home. What they didn't know was that these first signs were just the beginning, the prelude to something much darker and far more terrifying. It was only 6 p.m. The Bowen family returned home without imagining that this night would be unforgettable and horrifying. When Frank Bowen began walking through the rooms, something wasn't right. The lights were on, TVs blaring, radios making noise, everything out of place. Unease grew with every step. And then, Frank opened a closet. From inside, a young intruder emerged. His face was painted, his hair spiked, wearing a fur coat. In one hand he held an axe, in the other, a steel wrench. His presence was as unexpected as it was terrifying. The intruder spoke calmly, but with authority. He ordered Frank to gather the girls and take them to the bedroom. Frank's heart raced, but he didn't hesitate. He knew he had to protect his daughters at all costs. As they walked down the hallway, Frank tried to stay calm, keeping himself between Daniel and the girls. His mind raced for a plan, any way to save his family. The tension was unbearable. Every second could change everything. In a moment of extreme fear, Annie, the eldest daughter, lost control. Ignoring the danger, she opened the bedroom window and jumped into the yard. Her sister followed, and finally, Frank climbed out too, joining Annie and the neighbor who had already called the police. It was barely 6 p.m. when the Pepperell Police Department received a call that would change everything. A neighbor, crying and screaming, reported that 14-year-old Annie Bowen had escaped her own home, soon followed by her father and sister. Pepperell Police, supported by the Massachusetts State Police, cautiously arrived at 93 Lawrence Street. The family was visibly shaken. Annie, trembling, explained how the intruder had stalked them and kept them under control, while Frank and the girls described the young man disguised and armed with an axe and a wrench. After the family escaped through the windows, officers began searching the house meticulously. Every room, every corner, every yard was checked. But at first, they found no trace of the intruder. Then came the discovery that made this story truly terrifying: the tunnels and hidden spaces inside the house. There were makeshift passages in the walls that allowed someone to move from room to room unseen. Secret holes, narrow spaces between partitions and false wooden panels where someone could hide for hours or even days. Hidden spots in the basement and behind closets that connected different parts of the house. The police were stunned. No one could believe that someone had managed to live inside those cramped spaces, stalking a family, moving silently through the house, leaving almost no evidence of his presence. Each tunnel and hollow told the story of weeks of silent terror, of the constant fear that had consumed the family. Near the porch, they found the intruder's belongings, the axe and the wrench. The phones had been ripped from the walls, likely to prevent anyone from calling for help. Even a tracking dog couldn't follow his trail. Everything indicated that whoever had terrorized the Bowens was meticulous, calculating, and moved like a ghost, using the tunnels and voids as his perfect hiding place. The police couldn't catch him, at least not right away. That discovery made something chillingly clear. This was not a simple intruder. This was someone capable of living inside a family's walls for days, watching, planning, and controlling them from the closest possible darkness. Daniel LaPlante was born on May 15, 1970, in Townsend, Massachusetts. From an early age, his life was marked by family instability. His parents separated when he was very young, and his single mother later remarried and had 2 more children. During his childhood, Daniel went through difficult situations with several adults around him. He claimed to have been a victim of psychological and sexual abuse, involving his father, his stepfather, and even his psychiatrist. These traumas left a deep mark on his emotional development and on the way he related to others. At school, he faced significant academic struggles. He was diagnosed with dyslexia and attention deficit disorder, which left him frustrated and isolated. Classmates and neighbors described him as reserved, strange, and disturbing. Adults noticed his unusual behavior, his unkempt appearance, and his tendency to keep to himself, while Daniel himself struggled to fit into a world that rejected him. Daniel was an average height, thin young man. With light hair he sometimes wore messy or spiked, and eyes many described as piercing, able to convey a mix of curiosity and threat. His face could seem harmless at first glance, but there was something unsettling about his expression, a sense that he was always watching and calculating. As he grew, Daniel developed a dangerous obsession with Annie Bowen. She initially agreed to go on a date with him, but after being rejected, his interest turned darker. He began stalking her, watching her, and finding ways to approach her home. What began as teenage feelings turned into a constant fixation on her and her family, which marked the beginning of the harassment that would later terrorize them. After months of stalking, break-ins, and increasingly dangerous behavior, Daniel LaPlante was finally tracked down by authorities. His capture marked the end of an intense manhunt and the beginning of a trial for the crimes he committed, including one that horrified the entire community: the murder of the Gustafson family. On December 1st, 1987, Daniel broke into the home of 33-year-old Priscilla Gustafson, a pregnant kindergarten teacher in Townsend, Massachusetts. There, he took Priscilla's life and then murdered her 2 children, William, 5, and Abigail, 7, in separate bathrooms. The crime scene was described as extremely violent and disturbing. LaPlante was arrested 2 days later after meticulous police work. In 1988, he was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. In 2017, when he requested a reduction of his sentence, the court upheld the ruling, noting that he had shown no remorse for his actions. To this day, he has not been released and remains in custody, paying for the crimes that shook the community. His story remains a chilling reminder of how untreated traumas and obsessions can turn into dangerous behaviors, and how justice, though delayed, can stop those who pose a threat to others. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you won't miss any of our horror stories and true events. We constantly share tales that will send shivers down your spine and make you question what you thought was safe. Leave us a comment telling us which part of this story impacted you the most, and if you know of any similar case. Your opinion helps our channel grow and allows us to bring you more chilling content. Thank you for staying with us until the end, and remember, sometimes danger lurks closer than we imagine.